get them. So a company focused on that consumer we thought had a lot of potential. So we raised our first round of funding for that concept, and literally a month after we raised the money, in April of 2000, the internet bubble burst, the market collapsed, and we fell upon really, really hard times. And we were really, except for one more time, never really able to raise money through the life of the company for all of the things that we did. So that's kind of how we started. In 2000, one of the games we were renting was a game called Dance Revolution. You guys are familiar? Sounds like some of you are familiar with that game. Spent way too many hours on it. That was for those that don't know, that was a dance game that was done, which requires a dance mat. You kind of, jumping up and down dancing, if you will, pseudo dancing. We were renting that game, and some of our customers asked us, hey, you're renting the game, but do you actually sell the dance mats? And for many months, we said, no, we don't sell dance mats. All we do is rent video games. Well, a few months later, when the market had collapsed and we realized we couldn't raise money and we had to generate revenue and we had payroll to make, we thought, well, they're asking for dance mats. I guess we should start selling dance mats. And that's how we got into the accessories business. So that was really our first transition point, our first inflection point in our company, where we started off as online game rentals. That was the real business. All of a sudden, somehow we got into selling these dance mats. We did some grassroots marketing. We went to a lot of shows, really anime shows at the beginning. There's this tremendous crossover between people who like anime and Dance Revolution. I still haven't figured that one out yet. There's this huge crossover. So we went to a lot of anime shows. We did marketing online and found partners to work with, and we got some traction. And so that's how our accessories business started to grow. From there, we decided we were going to make our own accessories. We were a direct-to-consumer company. We were selling these dance mats off our website, so we thought we had a lot of people in our company who played them, played the game, and were very good at it. We had people who were buying our dance mats tell us, hey, this is what you should do. Here's a few ideas. Why don't you do this? And it would be a better product. So we took all of those ideas, and rather than just reselling somebody else's dance mat, we decided to make our own. And so at the end of 2000, that's when we started manufacturing our own products. My brother, who had some experience in international trade, actually went to China, literally kind of opened up the yellow pages, found the manufacturers, and said, this is the product we want. And that was our first foray into making our own branded, Red Octane branded video game accessories. So we had a lot of really good success with the accessories over 2001, 2002, 2003. One of our most successful products was a product called the Red Octane Ignition Dance Mat, which was, had all these improvements. It had this big foam piece that fit in the middle, corrected a lot of problems that people had with dance mats. The cost of goods on that product was about $15, and it retailed for $100. And so the first learning for us at that point was, we really wanted to create a high-end accessory market. We thought gamers have a lot of money, they're willing to pay it. What they want is a high-quality product. And we felt like there was a real lack of high-quality products in the category. So that drove us toward the accessories category and really focusing on high-end accessories, products that were really made well and sold for a premium. So in 2004, as we got traction with all of these accessories that we were making, we expanded into doing other video game accessories. We thought that Dance Revolution was doing very well. There were all these music games in Japan. We thought, boy, music games are really fun. It's got to be, a bigger market for music games in the U.S. than just Dance Revolution. So we actually went to the Japanese companies that made these music games, and we said, hey, you guys make all these great music games in Japan. Why don't you bring them over to the U.S.? And universally, they all told us, we don't think there's a market for music games in the U.S. In retrospect, that sounds pretty crazy, right? There's a huge market for video games. The question is, are you making the right game to service that market? So when we heard that message, we thought, well, it looks like they're not going to do it. If they're not going to do it, then we had to do it ourselves. So 2004, 2005, we found the right developers. We actually don't do software development ourselves internally. We do hardware development. And we're publishers, so we do sales, marketing, and distribution. We went out and found some development partners. first game was a dance game called In the Groove. We had a lot of success with the dance mat, so our first game was a dance game. We sold 70,000 units, which for us was a success. For a major publisher, it would be a complete failure. But it worked for us, and that kind of gave us a stepping stone into launching our second game, which was Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero launched in 2005. You know, a lot of crazy stories around getting that product launched, but you know, it was an amazing product. Really, from the first day we launched it, it sold out, and Guitar Hero, you know, has gone on to sell now in 4 years over 45 million units. It's the fastest video game to $1 billion in sales. I think it literally just crossed, this Christmas, just crossed 3 billion in sales in over 4 years. So it's been, you know, an amazing hockey stick from the time we released that game. But we did go through a lot of changes to finally get there.
So that's an impressive track record there, obviously. If I could just ask, so the way that you sort of have just strung the lines together for us sounds like you know, you went from this step to this step to this step, but I assume it wasn't, when you were actually doing it, it didn't seem quite as straightforward as that. Can you talk a little bit about you know, making those big decisions when you made them?
Yeah, you know, the story, you know, when it's told, right, always sounds, you know, sort of very orderly and very step-by-step. But the truth is, you know, that was a story that took 7 years to develop, right? I distilled it down into you know, 4 minutes. And the real story isn't, you know, like this. It was more like up, down, up, down, up, down, on its way to, you know, going up all the time. You know, I talked about the inflection points that we had, where we went transitioning from initially renting video games to making hardware, and then, you know, making hardware and accessories to publishing software. And it was a really challenging times. Right? In retrospect, it sounds very simple, it sounds very easy, you know, it's the right choice. But when you're sitting there, and that first point, you know, we raised money from friends and family, and we said we were going to rent video games, and all of a sudden you're selling accessories as well, you know, you wonder, am I making the right decision? And, you know, we thought there was a market here originally. Now, why are we trying to sell these, you know, dance maps? So I think those tend to be the most challenging points for a company, is when you're trying to figure out how to survive, you know, ultimately, which is what we were trying to do.
Cool. So, I mean, the difficulty of making decisions is something, Alejandro, you have experienced at Blackpoint Studios. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about, you know, starting up Blackpoint, how you got there, and how that came about.
Well, the story is quite different, mainly because the company is closed right now. So it's a different success story.
Well, actually, failures are, for us anyway, are great learning opportunities. So
I'll share the learning experience. Basically, working in a film, TV in Spain, a little bit trained in Europe, and then I had the opportunity to move to the US to work on a film. And Los Angeles, I moved to Hawaii to work in Final Fantasy, maybe some of you remember the movie. And during the time, one of my friends, during those 3 years in Hawaii, we talk about opening a company and possibilities without a clear plan, just the feeling of opening something. And we started, I landed to start working on games on the Midwest San Diego, Electronic Arts, and Rock Shores. And my friend moved to Colorado. And a few years later, we ended up together back in San Francisco, and the whole conversation about opening something and with some ideas, but it's still very vague, continued that discussion years later. And the company he was working on had 2 departments, to be 3D, and they decided to keep only the 2D department open and multimedia. And we said, well, maybe this is the moment.
So the company you were both working at, they shut down the 3D department.
The company he was working on.
He was working for, and that was your opportunity there.
And then